Alright guys, welcome back. This is the second installment of the word problems lesson. Woo! I still don't have my voice completely back. Cracked a little bit there. But are you guys ready? I hope you are. These problems are a little bit harder. They're a little bit more information heavy, but just see how you do. So you can copy this next one down, but please don't freak out when you see how long it is. Here we go. Alright guys, here's the problem. I know it looks huge, but don't freak out. Let's just read through it and see what we can learn first. So we have gymnasium, kind of an interesting name, gymnasium. Gymnasium is building a treehouse for his two daughters. That's very nice of him. He cuts 12 pieces of wood from a board which is 128 inches long. He cuts 5 pieces that measure 15.75 inches each, and 7 pieces evenly cut from what is left. That's interesting. They don't tell us how long those 7 pieces are. I wonder if that's going to come back. He calculates that because of all the cutting, he will lose 2 inches of wood from the total length of the board. Now, that's normal. That's how you get sawdust from. You kind of lose a little bit of length. What is the length of each of the 7 pieces? See, I called it. There we go. What is the length of each of the 7 pieces? So we have to figure out, is out of that big board, how long are these 7 pieces? We know how long 5 of the pieces are, but not 7 of the pieces. So let's go ahead and start with modeling. So first, we need to model everything, and because this one is going to be really important. There's a lot of math we have to figure out, and we've got to take it easy, step by step. So again, you can kind of follow along with this one, but try and solve each of the next steps before I do. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a model here, and you can copy the same thing down in your journal before you start working on it. Alright, so I've gone ahead and circled and underlined everything that was important in the problem. There's a lot of it, so it's kind of confusing. So we're probably going to read through this problem multiple times to make sure. But in the end, we need to make sure that we answer this question: what is the length of each of the 7 pieces? So everything we're going to do in this problem is going to be to try and solve how long are each of those 7 pieces. So what I've done up here is gone ahead and drawn this out. So it says one 128-inch long board, piece of wood, right? So this even looks like a piece of wood here. It's a tape diagram, but I've kind of got it cut out. And this is all the information that I have on here already shown. So overall, this is a 128-inch long piece of board. I know how long 5 of the pieces are that it gets cut, because it gets cut into 12 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And here's the piece that he loses right over here. So I'm going to take that apart in a second. But these first 5 right here, we know that each of these are 15.75 inches long. We don't know how long these 7 pieces are over here, though. So that's what we got to figure out. Very first thing I'm going to do, though, is account for the length of board that he gets rid of here when he's cutting. So again, that's just going to turn to sawdust. So the first problem I need to answer is this. What is 128 minus 2? Well, that's pretty easy. I just count back 2. It's just going to be 126, and we are talking about inches here. So this board is going to become 126 inches, and I'm just going to cross that piece off of my model up there. The next thing I need to figure out is how much space altogether these guys are taking up right here, because we know that that's 15.75 inches 5 times. So the problem I need to solve next is this. It's just 15.75 times 5. I'll let you go ahead and solve that, and I'll put the answer up here in just a second, so pause. Alright, if you got 78.75 inches, you would be correct. I'm just not showing my work up here because I don't have a ton of space. So now let's take a look back again. We know that our total length of the board that we're going to be having here is 126 inches after we account for the part that's going to be lost during cutting. We know that the length of the boards that we have already here is going to be 78.75 inches. So from here over to here is 78.75 inches. The next thing that we need to do is figure out how long this section of wood is going to be, and from there it's pretty easy. So to do this, all we have to do is a little subtraction. We're going to take the total length of the board minus the length of the 5 sections right here, and that problem is going to look just like this. It's just going to look like 126 minus 78.75. Go ahead and try using the subtraction algorithm to figure it out, and pause. I'll put the answer up here in just a second. Alright guys, if you got 47.25 inches, you'd be correct, which leaves us with this information. Now we have how long this section is right here. It's just 47.25 inches long. And again, we said this part right here was 78.75 inches. So I know these look kind of close together here, but that's just because I didn't draw it perfectly. I only had so much space. If I had drawn this correctly, this space would probably be out to right about here, and then we'd have this space left over. But again, we're just showing it. So we're getting closer to figuring out how much each of these pieces are. We only have to do one more thing. We have the total length of that section right there. So what do you think we need to do to figure out how long each of those 7 pieces are? I'm just letting you think right now. I hope you're thinking hard. What we're going to do is we're going to take this, and because we have 7 pieces, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we're going to divide this by 7, and that is going to tell us how long each of those pieces are. So I'll write this problem out. Again, it's going to be 47.25 divided by 7. So try and solve that problem really quickly. Remember, 7 is not going to go into 4, so you have to go into 47. And then when you are writing your answers, make sure you include your decimal point. Nothing changes in division except you need to make sure you have your decimal point there. So give that a shot, pause, and I'll put the answer up here. All right, and we are very near the end of this problem. So we had the length of this section of the board being 47.25 inches, or 47 1/4 inches. We needed to divide that by 7, and we get 6.75 inches. So the only thing we need to do left is see if we can put this into good answer format and see if it answers our question over here. So I'm going to write this down. I want you to write it down how you think the answer would look as well. Pause, do that real quick. All right, so hopefully you included your answer just like I did. I said each of the pieces is 6.75 inches long, and I don't have space to do it right now, but if you needed to check this, which you do, you would just go back and multiply 6.75 times 7, you get 47.25, and your math would be correct. Overall, if you multiplied all this back together and added it all back up and reversed it, your final answer that you get should be 128 inches if you basically erased all those cuts to that board that you did and put it all back together. So again, what we did here, the steps that we did, we modeled. We drew out everything we knew, and we put it right in front of us. We know what this question mark is now, but we didn't earlier, which is why we wrote it down here. So again, we modeled everything down, we solved it, and I didn't check it in this, but I told you how. So we did modeling, solving, and checking. And remember, on your page, make sure you have your answer circled here. If you need more help, ask me, and I can give you another problem to try solving, but I'm going to leave it right here on this video. The only other thing I want you to do is look back at your learning target for this lesson and make another reflection. If you already did one after the last video, try it again on this one depending on how you did. Okay, so tell me, are you a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4? If you're a 1, I want you to try watching these videos again. I don't want you to move on. I want you to try just solving them completely from scratch. Try not to remember any information and try seeing if you can do it all on your own using just the video and pausing when I tell you to pause. If you're a 3 or maybe even a 2, I want you to go ahead and try solving the problem set. All right, I think you guys can do this. Again, just make sure you're circling the information, you're underlining the question so you can see if what you have answers the question, and then use our modeling, solving, and checking format. All right, good luck to you.